What would you do if the very place meant to protect your child became the stage for her worst nightmare? One moment I was at work, eating lunch like any ordinary day. The next I was sprinting toward my daughter's school after a message that nearly stopped my heart. She wasn't just scared. She was trapped. And the way the school handled it didn't just change her life. It destroyed mine. From the very first weeks of high school, my daughter's excitement started to fade. She told me about 3 older boys, seniors, who always seemed to appear wherever she went. In the hallways, by the bus stop, even outside the school gates, they were there. At first, I thought maybe she was overthinking it. But then I saw the way she clutched her phone, the way her smile disappeared when school was mentioned. I knew something wasn't right. I went to the administration expecting them to step in to protect her. Instead, they dismissed me with a smirk and a phrase that made my stomach turn. Boys will be boys. That single excuse became their shield, their way of ignoring the fear in my daughter's eyes. And in that moment, I realized the very people I trusted to protect her were already failing her. 5 months later, the situation I feared finally exploded. I was sitting at work, halfway through my lunch, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from my daughter, short, shaky, and terrifying. Dad, they're outside. A second one followed almost immediately. Dad, I'm scared. And then the third, please hurry. My heart dropped. In that instant, nothing else mattered. My job, my food, the people around me. I pushed back my chair and ran, ignoring everything except those words on my screen. Every second felt heavier, louder, like a clock ticking down to something I couldn't allow to happen. I kept replaying her messages in my head, and with each step I took, one thought consumed me. If I don't make it in time, I might lose her forever. By the time I reached the school, I was out of breath, my chest burning, but I didn't care. I charged straight into the front office, desperate, telling the secretary my daughter was in danger and begging them to act. But instead of urgency, I was met with blank stares and calm voices, like I was overreacting. You'll need to wait for the principal, she said, barely looking up from her desk. Wait? My daughter was out there, terrified, possibly surrounded, and they wanted me to sit quietly in a chair? I felt my fists tighten, rage boiling under my skin. Every second they wasted was another second she was alone. The walls of that office suddenly felt like a prison, holding me back when all I wanted was to reach her. And that's when I knew, if I didn't act now, no one else would. I burst out of the office and ran across the courtyard, praying I wasn't too late. And then I saw it. My daughter, trapped, tears streaking down her face, while those 3 boys closed in around her like wolves circling their prey. I shouted her name and tried to sprint toward her, but before I could take 2 steps, a security guard grabbed me. He held me back, insisting I calm down, as if there was anything calm about watching your child beg for help. I fought, I screamed, I begged them to let me go, but it was like yelling into a void. That's when desperation took over. My eyes locked on a classroom window nearby. Without thinking, I smashed it open with my arm, glass slicing my skin as I forced my way inside. I didn't care about the pain, I didn't care about the blood. All I cared about was reaching her. And when I finally pulled her away from them, holding her in my arms, I thought, for just a moment, that I had won. But what I didn't know then was that this moment was only the beginning of a nightmare I could never escape. I thought rescuing my daughter would finally end the nightmare. But by that evening, the story had already been twisted beyond recognition. Local headlines painted me as the villain. Father storms school grounds in violent outburst. The same administrators who ignored my daughter's cries for help were suddenly everywhere, giving statements to the media. They didn't talk about the boys who cornered her, or the way I begged for assistance. No, according to them, I was unstable, dangerous, and had put other students at risk. The truth of what happened, the fear in my daughter's eyes, the bruises on her arms, was erased in an instant. Instead, I became the monster, the father who attacked a school, rather than the father who fought to protect his child. And as the narrative spread like wildfire, I began to realize something horrifying. Saving her might have cost us everything. The fallout was brutal. Other parents whispered when I walked past, their eyes filled with judgment. Teachers who once smiled at my daughter now looked away as if we were carrying some kind of stain. Even the police, who I thought would listen, treated me like I was the criminal. Meanwhile, the 3 boys, The very ones who started all of this walked away untouched. No punishment, no accountability, not even a warning. They were free to laugh about it in the hallways, while my daughter was left to face the shame, the whispers, the constant reminder that the system had chosen them over her. She was the victim, yet she was the one who couldn't sleep at night, who jumped at every sound, who carried the scars no one else seemed willing to acknowledge. And me? I was branded as the reckless father who went too far. We were both paying the price, while the ones who caused it all never faced a single consequence. That was when it hit me. The real betrayal wasn't just from those boys. It was from everyone we trusted to protect her. No one wanted to hear the truth. Not the teachers, not the parents, not the media. They didn't care about the panic in my daughter's voice or the bruises she carried home. They cared about protecting their image, their reputation, their precious school. It was easier to turn me into the villain than to admit their failure. Easier to label me as unstable than to face the fact that 3 of their students had terrorized a freshman for months under their watch. The truth wasn't just ignored. It was buried. Buried under statements, under headlines, under carefully chosen words designed to make me the problem. And in the silence that followed, my daughter was left alone with the scars. She had been cornered once by those boys, but now we were cornered by something much worse, a system that would rather lie than protect the innocent. The school was supposed to be her safe place. Instead, it became the stage for her worst nightmare, and mine. I thought the hardest part would be fighting off those boys. But I was wrong. The real battle began afterward, against a system that buried the truth, twisted the story, and left us to carry the weight alone. I still replay that day in my head, wondering what more I could have done, what I should have done differently. But deep down, I know this isn't just about me or my daughter. It's about every parent who trusts a school to protect their child, only to discover too late that silence and lies matter more to them than safety and justice. And that leaves me with one question I can't escape. If this happened to us, how many other families are out there, living the same nightmare, with their truth buried under the same lies?